Okay, welcome to the Chapter 1 pretest review. Problem number 1 is an example of the orders of operation. We use the term PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, which stands for parenthesis, exponents, multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. And math problems are solved in that way. When you see a problem written where there are multiple operations, you always begin solving from left to right, first performing anything in parenthesis and any exponents, and then next you would do any multiplication or divisions. That's a separate set of problems, is multiplication and division. And then the last thing you would do is, again, reading from left to right, any additions or subtractions. So number 1, evaluate the problem. It has an addition and it has a subtraction. Since those are in the last set, the A and the S of PEMDAS, we would just do the problem from left to right. So first you would add 11 plus 9, which gives you 19, and then you would subtract 4, giving you the result of 15. In number 2, the problem says simplify the numeric expression below. Now you see an operation that's in parenthesis, so PEMDAS says do that first. It's in parenthesis, the 19 minus 6. So if you perform 19 minus 6 first, you would get 13, and then you multiply times 9. Now, in mathematical operations, we're used to seeing multiplications where you would use an X in the middle for multiplication. But in algebra, we could use a dot in the middle, or we could use just a number in parenthesis with a number outside of the parenthesis would mean multiplication. So for example, if you saw 9y, the letter y, that would mean 9 times y. In number 3, we have, let's see here, a situation where it says simplify the numerical expression below. Now, we see an addition. We see 2 sets of brackets or parentheses. So we always start with a 1 on the inside first. So you see that there's a 17 minus 3. That's inside of parenthesis, and then you have an operation that's inside brackets. So we would do the 17 minus 3 first, which would give you 14. Then next you would multiply 5 times 14, which would give you 70. Then you have the 9 that's on the outside. That's also multiplication, 9 times 70, which is 630. The last operation that you would do is the addition, because first you had your brackets, your parenthesis, your multiplications, and then the last operation you would do is any additions or subtractions. So the final answer there would be 18 plus 630, which is 648. Number 4, there's operations on one side. It says 14 times 56 divided by 8. Then you see a plus sign, and then 18 divided by 6 times 2. Well, PEMDAS, there's no parenthesis, there's no exponents, but you do have multiplications and divisions. You need to do those as a set first. So you notice I rewrote the problem in red showing 17 times 56 divided by 8 in parenthesis. So do that from left to right first. Then do the 18 divided by 6 times 2 from left to right, and then add them together. But the addition is the last part. So you would have 14 times 56 divided by 8 would give you one number, and then you would have the 18 divided by 6, which is 3 times 2, which gives you 6. So your final answer in that case would be 104. You're allowed to use a calculator, and I strongly encourage you to do that. But you do need to understand the orders of operation here, in this whole concept of doing the parenthesis and the exponents first, the multiplications and divisions as a set next, and additions and subtractions last. Now in the next problem, I rewrote it by putting parenthesis around the numerator. Remember, in a fraction now, the numerator is the top number and the denominator is the bottom number. So in the top number, you actually have two numbers, 40 plus 16 divided by 4. So even though orders of operation would say do the division first, in this case here you have an addition that is part of the numerator. You need to combine that first. Otherwise, if we were looking at the fraction 40 plus 16 divided by 4, that actually would mean 40 divided by 4 plus 16 divided by 4. So you'd really have to do those two divisions separately and then add them. So instead, we'll add 40 plus 16, which is 56, divided by 4. And then on the other side, the 70 minus 28 gives you 42, divided by 7. Now, a fraction is really a division. So we could do this operation as a division and say 56 divided by 4, use the calculator, the answer is 14, minus 42 divided by 7, the answer is 6. Then 14 minus 6 gives you a final answer of 8. And number 6, it has an algebraic expression, 6 times m plus 8 times q. And then it says for m, if m equals negative 16 and q equals 2. So basically it's saying substitute those numbers in. Where you see m, put minus 16. And where you see q, put 2. So I rewrote the problem 6 times minus 16 plus 8 times 2. Now 6 times negative 16 is negative 96. Again, use the calculator for now, but later on we'll talk about multiplying numbers where the signs are different, and since in this case here you have a positive 6 and a minus 16, the answer is going to be a negative 96. The second part, it says plus 8 times 2. Well, 8 times 2 is 16. So then I end up with negative 96 plus 16 equals negative 80. Now, this is the whole idea of adding or combining positive and negative numbers. Think about it this way here. If you started with negative 96, let's say you borrowed $96 from me. It's not very likely that I'd loan it, but if you borrowed $96 from me and then you came in the next class and you said, here's $16, you still owe me, right? In fact, you owe me $80 still. So we'll get into that a little bit more with combining some more positives and negative numbers. In number 7, again, it has an algebraic expression, y. It says y is 8. So any place in the problem where you see y, replace it with an 8. That's really all it means. So in the problem it says y plus 12 divided by 5 as a fraction. You would write 8 plus 12 divided by 5. Then the second part of it where it says plus 59 minus y divided by 3, you would write plus 59 minus 8 divided by 3. The left side, that fraction, 8 plus 12 is 20, divided by 5, plus 59 minus 8 is 51, divided by 3. Now let's do those divisions next. 20 divided by 5 gives you an answer of 4. And 51 divided by 3 gives you an answer of 17. Then if you add those two numbers together, 4 plus 17 gives you a final answer of 21. Now I know there's a lot of steps to these problems, and that's why it's important to do the steps in the proper order. In number 8, it gets into the language of division where division, for example, the division I wrote on the right-hand side, the long division where it says 16. 16 is called your dividend. Okay, that's the number you're looking to divide. Now 4 is being used as the divisor, as the number that's cutting it up into 4 pieces. The quotient is the answer. How many pieces do you have? 4 of them. And number 9, the same idea. It says 27 is your dividend. 3 is your divisor. 3 is what you're dividing it by. So what's your quotient? How many sets are you going to, if you have 27 coins and you divide them into threes, into sets of threes, how many sets of them are you going to have? You're going to have 9. Okay?